That's a big 4-leaf clover right there. Well, must be my lucky day. Well, we got some water in the creek. We got the little mower down here, and we're going across the Missouri crossing, and we'll back up it. The reason you want to back up this, if this starts spinning out, if you go up there with the weight on the front end of it, then it's just going to pop a wheelie, and your front wheel assist is going to be eradicated. So we were up here Saturday with the big tractor, and we mowed this clover plot because it was getting really high, and so I got to get to the way back, and I don't want to take the big tractor back there. So we'll get set up here and see if we get up the hill. Like I said, the reason we'll be backing up that because those wheels, the tires are going to get wet, and you got green grass, and I want the maximum weight on the most traction. And even with that, with those wide flotation tires on the back, that does take away some of your traction. But at least it'll have the weight transferred where it needs to be. Yeah, the reason I'm going over this is because my channel is a learning channel, not a bullshit channel. For some of you people that just got into food plotting and you haven't run that much of equipment in the duration of your lifetime, I want to help you along. I've been running a tractor since I was 13 years old, and I'm 70, so I think I learned a few tricks along the way. But definitely, if you got this, put the weight on the back of the tractor and come up backward. Even if you got four-wheel assist, because the four-wheel assist, the front tires are going to be lifted off the ground, and it ain't going to do you any good. So let's get it across here. Well, that worked as planned, and like I said, for you new people that you go and buy these four-wheel drive assist tractors, they won't climb everything, and you can find yourself in trouble by popping a wheelie going up as the weight transfers. Now, as you can see on the back of here, I'll show you, that back wheel back there, that weight transfers way back there. Plus I got two cutting edges I'm going to use for a bridge and my chainsaw. No weight on the front end. They had to pull that front end up off the ground, and those tires would just be spinning in the air as you pop the wheelie going backwards. So that's why you want to back up them real steep hills. And if I got in trouble, I could go back down, and if I had to, I could get my other tractor, hook onto the front of it, and pull it back up the other hill. So just be careful, especially you newbies out there, because they'll sell you anything, but they'll tell you anything also. But just be real careful when you're out there in the field. This was that clover field. It was eaten to the ground. I wish I didn't have the camera the other day, but you can see how tall that clover is now. And that clover field we planted, I believe, 2 years ago, and it's pretty lush clover. But I wanted to get it mowed, and I got it mowed Saturday night before the rain, because we had like almost 2 inches of rain down here Saturday evening and Sunday morning. But it's really growed in really super good. The fusion, the chicory somewhat in there, but the whitetail clover is definitely in there. And let's get back to the backfield. So we're back here in the back plot, and you can see for yourself. There's the chainsaw, and the clover's taller than that. Now, the 1st of March, this field was cropped to the ground, but I can't remember whether I planted this in 2013 or 15. We'll have to do the research and bring you up to speed on it, but it's got real good clover in it. But you can see the grasses and stuff got way ahead of me because being so busy, you couldn't get here to do your hobby per se. So what happens is sometimes it gets ahead of you. But we got the herbicide coming to address this grass and broadleaf. But like I said, you can see the depth of that clover. Now that growed that height since March, 1st of March, because these fields were eaten to the ground. But those broadleaf weeds and stuff like that, really, I wish I could have put herbicide on it when they were growing, but there's just not enough hours in the day sometimes. But we'll get it resurrected, and we're walking this field right now. Make sure there's no fawns laying in it, because it's getting to be fawning time, Memorial Day weekend coming up. And here's why I brought the chainsaw. I knew this log fell across the trail, so I can get that sawed out. But you're going to get the grasses, but it's supposed to rain, start raining again Friday, possibly Saturday, and then Monday, and it's not going to get any drier. So the forage is somewhat dry. I'll be able to mow it, but it definitely needs mowed. But the clover, for Whitetail Institute Clover, for the most part, is still in there real strong. It just needs to get some TLC, and it needs to get it ASAP. So, and like I say, I'm walking this field and trying to talk pretty loud. If there's any newborn fawns in there, I sure don't want to find it too late. But yeah, this is what happens to a lot of people. I'm no different. I mean, your schedule and your life schedule, and especially this year, everything got turned upside down so bad that you get behind on your maintenance. But we can bring this back online. Let's just get it mowed and get this grass under control. Now, what you want to do once you mow the grass, see, here's the thing: you want to mow that grass. It hasn't went to seed yet, but they're there, and we can get them chopped off. That's good. Now we'll let it sit for maybe a week after we mow it, and let everything start to grow, and then that'll take in the herbicide into the roots. And so it's just one of those things that you're going to have to deal with in your adventures of food plotting. But you can see how high it is on the tractor over there. So I'll get to mowing. And, you know, when you take on food plots, folks, it ain't no poor man, and it sure in the hell ain't no easy man. Because if you're a lazy man, all you're going to grow, hell, we won't even go into that. I've covered that issue enough times already. So let's get the mower mowing and chainsaw up there, and we'll get that log out of the way. We'll make it a day. There you go. That's some deep clover. That's what that 624-24 does. But it also stimulates the undesirables. But I got good clover in here, and I can bring it back under control. So I'll get to mowing. And another thing I can't emphasize: when you got your machinery back in the back, away from access, don't shut it off in the field, especially a diesel. If it's running, it's going to run, unless you had fuel filter problems. But that's another tip just for beginners. Leave them machines run, because if you shut them off and you're back in the back, well, guess what? You're going to have to transport your tools or your technician that you have to call way back in the way back. So if they're running, leave them run. Let's get the mowing up through there. We're going to mow slow because it's really high. How's this grass get in here? Well, around your perimeter, you got areas that grass grows where you don't mow, and you can't get in there to mow. But this grass like this along the edge, when that matures, it will blow into your field. That's why it's nice to keep as much of that crop down as you can, but it's pretty hard because it's just a natural phenomena that's going to happen, because that's going to drift in here, and birds can fly in here, fart around and poop in there, and bring seed and whatever. So you can start out with a clean field with no weeds, but over a few years they will become a problem. Really important to stay on your top of your perennials, because they're your #1 food source 365, hands down. If you only got one food plot to plant, or plant clover, you can't go wrong with it, except it does take maintenance. Well, we got it mowed off. It's a little wet. I might let it, some of that, I got some new blades I'm going to put on that mower, because the ones I had probably weren't the sharpest in the world, about like I am, not the sharpest. When you let those plots grow up that, and it's like, I don't know, the 19th of May, they get ahead of you on the weed growth. So you got to stay on top of it. But we're all human, and we're in this coronavirus thing, and we've got jobs to do. So food plots, unfortunately, do take a second place. If it was dry today, I got dirt to move. But anyhow, we got her all mowed off, let it dry out some, and then put my new blades on that mower and come back and hit it one more time, because I know some of the grass didn't get cut. It got knocked over, but it didn't get cut as good as I wanted it to. So let's go across my makeshift bridge and get out of here. This is what I call my makeshift bridge. I got these two cutting edges down there, one on the left, one on the right, and I'll drive right over them. They're steel. You can see where my wooden ones over a period of time collapsed. So we'll come across here on the bridge. If something goes wrong, it'll be on America's Funniest Videos. So let's come across it. Not the safest thing to do, but hell, going outside nowadays, it takes a life. So anyway, I didn't fear that. I thought it would work this way again. So let's get out of here. Yeah, this spot right in here, we had wintergreens in it last year, and I came in here and frost seeded it with some clover. And I told you I would probably be taking this whole field out this fall and putting in pure attraction. But here was the results of our clover. You can see this was all ate to the ground and just dirt. And we frost seeded, spread that clover in this area right here. And that came out pretty good. It grew in with clover. I mowed it, I believe Saturday. Yeah, Saturday night. But you can see the frost seeding did take effect, and it'll give a temporary food source this summer. And there's some crimson clover that was in that mix with the other food plot annual stuff that we had last year. But you can see that frost seeding did work pretty good, and we got a ground cover because it was all like this dirt right here, and there's a borasca right there where we trimmed off that was still growing, and but the clover did take a hold, so it was worth the time. And like I said, it has a food value for now, but like I'm planning on enlarging this. But and a fellow asked me, why did I put expensive clover on? Well, I wasn't thinking, I'd always on top of the situation. I just had that clover, and I could have went with an annual clover, but it did take hold. What I'm trying to get at, the frost seeding did work, and so because this was all cropped off into the dirt, and I turned it under, and then you could still see some of the dirt areas where it did take a hold. And like I said, there's another borasca from that took off. So just a little update on that. Frost seeding, if you get the right conditions, it'll go. Well, good morning. We're up here we planted this, I believe, 2 years ago on the 25th day of April. And it really come in good. It's an alpha rack blend. It's got alfalfa and clover in it. And I want to measure that right now. We're down to the ground. There it is. That's a foot tall. I do these videos real time in real life, not for my advantage, personality or financially, but there's so much hype and garbage out there today of no-till this and do this cheap, and you've heard me say it time and time again. And these guys go on and they talk about the oats and all that. Well, there's a time for that stuff, but your number one, hands down, is your perennial clover alpha rack plots. Now, not all states in this great country, the United States, are going to have the same soil types. So do your research and find out which perennial performs the best for you. Because that perennial, you just seen that's 12 inches tall. That was consumed to the ground. The ground was, I mean, it was a sliver left. And we're going to mow it today because it's too tall, and I'm getting some grasses in it, and we're going to have basically a whole bunch of rain coming in here in the Midwest. It starts tomorrow, and I just want to get it cropped down as much as I can so it'll stimulate the growth and set back the weed growth so I can get my herbicides on some of it. And yeah, it costs money, but at 70 years in life, I started out life in a 3-room shack with a well and a shit house. And you get out of life what you put into it. You get out of food plots what you put into it. But these so-called celebrity people, all they want to promote is cheapness and no-till, no this, no that. Well, they get marginable results too. This clover speaks for itself on what you have to do. And you have to keep after it, but it's always there for 365 days a year. Far better than anything that you can plant, because you're here for the entire wildlife scheme. The rabbits, the prey that preys upon the rabbits, the fawns, the lactating does, the bucks, high in protein, around 13% protein in this clover. And it's a annual thing. Now what we got to do now is I got to stop talking and I'm going to start walking, and because I want to search this field for any newborn fawns. And I recommend doing that, because if you don't do that, you can really Well, you've seen in the past videos of mine where I came upon fawns that were laying still because they were out there. So walk your field first. Make a little noise. Turkey season's over, who cares? But try to make sure that you know, and let's see, look at that. I can't get the roots out, but we'll mow that off. And we'll make sure there is no wildlife babies in here or nesting turkeys. And I'm going to get my green bucket and I'm going to pull some of these weeds out because they come out pretty good because they're awful damp up here. You want to carry these off of your plot, but you notice you got the whole root ball. And it's a beautiful day to pull weeds. Cloudy, overcast, the soil's moist, and they come right out. But always have a container available on your site, so if you just show up and you're killing some time or whatever, you can just start pulling weeds. Even though I've walked this, pulled the weeds out, I'm going to stand up when I'm mowing. That'll give me, I can look down in case I missed a fawn, because I sure don't want to run over them. So let's get her cranked up and let's get going. Segment, like I say, I want to show you how easy this is. You come up, you get your hand down to the bottom. Now, get the root ball, get the whole, give it a tug. Oh, there we got the roots and all. So, and this is for guys that live in areas where, like in Canada or something, you may have restrictions on the use of herbicides, and it's relevantly easy. Like this broadleaf weed, I go down there, I pull the whole root out, so it's done. It's sort of like what I need to be doing in Washington. I need to be weeding out the weeds. Donald Trump went there to drain the swamp. Well, let me go there. I'll pull out the weeds, because all they're doing is profiteering off of the agriculture crop and being subsidized. Now here's a great big root. Let me see if I can get that. Just a second. There. Got that whole root. I'm going to name that Nancy. She's got pretty deep roots. Been in the pasture way too long. And here's what I'm going to do with Nancy. Throw her in the bush. That's where she belongs. She did not belong in the activity of the field, because all she is a taker, and all she wants to do is foster weeds. And that's how I look at people that there are. I don't even want to hear about poor people, but there wasn't no poor people in my lifetime. In the 50s, we lived within our means, and we didn't complain. Here's these weeds. Now watch this. I get over there. They'll pull slow. You get 90% of them. I got most of the roots out of there. This portion is for people that can't use herbicides on their fields for one reason or the other. Because you never know where this product, Whitetail Institute product, will end up, and you don't know where the weeds are. But you can hand eradicate them. It's not that hard. If you can play golf, hitting a round ball in a round hole and walking around and talking the talk all day, you can go out, do a little labor. I wish I had some politicians with me. At the end of the day, they would know what it was to work. Well, as you can see behind us, we got this section mowed, and a lot of work into food plotting, more so than some of these so-called below staff people that are pushing inferior product. You know, they'll sell you anything today, but most of you people recognize Harley Davidson and you go with Harley Davidson. Well, parallel Harley Davidson with Whitetail Institute. Be proud you can afford to have it on between your legs or on your ground. There's a lot of other rides out there, and there's a lot of other cheap seed, but like I said, Harley Davidson's and Whitetail Institute, American made rock and roll. Yeah, while we're on that topic about American made by Woods Bush Bull. It ain't got an American flag on it, leave it where it sits. And we're going to go up through here, and this will eradicate the use of herbicides to get rid of broadleaf weeds. We still put some arrest on it to kill the grasses, but we can go up through there, not only kick out any fawns or locate them, I doubt if they'll get up and run, but we can go up here, and every one of those yellow tops is a broadleaf weed, so we can target them pretty fast. And like I say, this is for people that can't use a herbicide. You can get rid of weed eradication just by labor. Anyway, it's another reason to keep a bushel basket or a bucket, 5-gallon bucket or a couple of them close to your food plot sites, so you can get those broadleaf weeds. It's real easy. If I think of those as being Democrat politicians, it makes it easier for me to grab a hold of them and pull them out. There's your chicory right there. Yeah, chicory, alfalfa, and clover. But, looks like the clover took over, but that's okay. As long as the clover took over, that ain't a bad deal either. Make one thing clear. From time to time I have people inquire, how many acres do you have? It's irrelevant how many acres you have. You plant what you can plant and make it grow the best that you can do. This is not a socialist society that I grew up in, where everybody has the same amount of money and everybody has the same acreage and everybody's the same height and everybody's the same weight. It ain't so, folks. So I never answer that question when they ask you, well, how many acres do you have? What's it to you? Piss somebody off? Hit the thumbs down button, because at 70 years old, I got all the friends I need. Most of them are laying in the ground in night crawlers or their neighbors. So that's it. Well, this is our last plot up here. And this is I don't know the name of it. Whitetail Institute sent it to me last year, and I planted it last fall. Now that other clover that we've been mowing was a Latino clover, which is a white clover. But oh, look at that. There's what I'm saying. Right there. Right there. More of the food plots. That's the pollinators pollinating. You know, that's what food plotting is all about. That wouldn't been there. Now, I may, after I've seen that, you can see all the blooms of this clover. And I'm going to check with the Whitetail Institute and find out how they recommend mowing it, because I've never planted this before. But it really performed well. And this area up here gets a lot of leaf residue. And some people had some questions about would anything grow in that or when I fertilized it. Well, actually the leaf residue holds the moisture and so it even makes it wetter. But man, this crimson clover really grew in here, and you can see all these tracks in here. I don't know what's been walking in there, but well, I assume it's a deer. But yeah, and like I say, there are definitely pollinators up here. There's another bee up here, and that's what's so cool about that, is you did create that habitat. Get that little guy in there. I mean, that's priceless right there, as long as you don't get stung by the guy. So I think I'll leave this up here for now. Like I said, I'd hate to take that pollination source away, and I'm not sure about the mowing recommendation. Well, that's it. Put a wrap on the clover fields, and just remember, it's not how many acres you got, it's what you do with what you got. Do the best with what God gave you, or what your finances will let you have, and be happy with that. This is not a numbers game. Too many people turn on how big was it, how many numbers, how many inches, how many acres. No, I'm not playing that game. So do what you can do and be proud of it. That's it from the Non-Typical Norwalkian.